me while I'm educating. Mindsets waving like a plea. I said it's so frustrating. The student finance is overrated. My negative balance is understated. Paper chasing. Haven't got the money to make it. I'm watching the days go past me by. Another month's rent's coming and that's not right, cause I've only got enough to feed me for the night. This student finance is a hell of a sight. Said I'm an eloquent guy with my lyrical mind. I've been spending for time. I shot a Benz on the side, but I'm not playing with fire. I don't wanna spend it inside, cause the trap and the hustle that's inside me. Living on the line, that's a virus. The problem is life is so pricey, it's icy. People wasting money on classes. Asses in the air like I'm fasting. Passing up on the hardship, asking, come take a walk, stop darking. Come get lost in my mind. Come get clocked, what's the time? Hi.
Hi. Yo, you're right, bro. I'm alright, bro. So, how do you make money at uni?
So I basically just shot like acid, coke, weed and other things to finish the students, like myself.
And what made you get into shotting in the first place?
Just like the student loan doesn't cover like anywhere near enough of what I need, so like not making enough P, shotting's like get more money, it's more fun, and I get barely enough to cover rent.
Clearly it's not something that's just on me. Can't you see though blatantly? It's a nationwide issue, yes I do repeat. It's a nationwide issue, come set us free. SFE, you're affecting me, just like you needed to hear. Why am I stressing it financially? When it's me trying hard for a uni degree. Not sitting on the streets and running on the breeze. Not claiming off the government being straight lazy, cause now I gotta pay 40k to the beat. So allow these bastards holding me back to the SFE office where we began. With my papers in my hand, asking for a run. Who's gonna give me more money or take this trash off my credit file? This CCJ's gash, so getting up half. Stacking up the bills while you're stacking up the files. Saying no more money for you, my child. Home is telling me who'll get me hard. And I'm working hard, I'm working. I'm working hard, I'm working. I'm working. Chasing, where's the paper chasing me while I'm educating? Mindsets waving like a plea. I said it's so frustrating. Student finance is overrated. My negative balance is understated. Paper chasing. Heads at home is where it all began. Just 17 and I was the man. Now 6 years on and it's against my plan. I'll tell you all about your rubber and which way I fan. Tell goldfish with a filter and a plan. I got a graded degree in haircut plans, but that's not what I wanna do. I don't want to be a man, so I'm eating hustling through to advance. Yeah, got on the bike and I take my ride. Go to work to make money on the side, but paying for this bike does hit me for a ride. Put my engine breaking down, now I'm sitting on the side of the road with my head in my hands. Got my hands down my pants and I'm grasping the air and my mouth it does run. No longer finesse to make this amount back. Find another whip to get me around track. Be a lot stressed when I get my right pattern. Checking out eBay just to find my new stack. New crap, new whip, new flat, new black. Chop. Guess I gotta find a new bike. Right, that's long. Sold my bikes like I sold my soul. Bought another time to make it roll. Seeking ranges, I made me a hole. Didn't find no sugar mama dough. Didn't find no sugar mama dough. Didn't find no sugar mama dough. Hopped on eBay, sold it all. Camera, MacBook, clothes and all. Just trying to make enough to get by. Know me regretting it down the line. Guess at uni it's hard to find a sensible balance, money and time. Got to the point my pockets are broke. Guess I'm glad it's over, cause fourth year. Next joke.
Yo, yeah, safe one, brother.
So, let me know a bit about your situation.
So yeah, my student loan is dramatically reduced due to the way they calculate it. So my single mum has been a single mum for the majority of my life. Now I live with a fiance, and because of that, they take in the whole household tax income, which dramatically reduces my student loan thousands of pounds.
And how does that affect you? What do you have to do because of that now?
Well, I have to get a job and work weekends and most of the time during the week as well, which obviously takes up valuable time. I should be getting my degree and learning knowledge, you know.
Alright, yeah,
it is what it is.
It is, but I get that, but it's not the safe, brother.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Baby's chasing, can't be free. My mind just can't be free. Mind just can't stay.
I guess the big decision in my mind and my motive in my spoken word is to try to politically observe the worth, the value, the time spent to find rent, minding your 5 cents. I guess what I'm trying to say is it all worth it in the end of the day, through the struggles and the tears, to leave and then still owe 50k? My question is that okay? Do they give us enough for us to pave our ways, or have you often got to run back to mama like, hey? Have you found that the system has been worked out fairly and equally for all, with a base standard living amount that's actually reasonable, with landlords giving you rent costs that are actually feasible, and SFE providing a student loan that will actually please them all? See, the thing is, we've all got our own circumstances and situations, and it's down to us to elevate them. And if I'm really honest with you, I've been hella patient. It's been 4 years now on a 3-year course and I'm still waiting. Broken 2 bones and I know that's no one's fault except for Nathan, but accidents happen and I'm still here and I'm graduating. Cause the thing is, I guess you could say we're blessed. We have an education system, government funded and all the rest. And through my whole entire life I have been blessed. But we're talking about fictional money that doesn't even exist, that they're lending to us out of a bottomless pit, money created on faith alone. Now my question, was it worth it? I guess I gotta wait and see.
What is plastic free? The answer to this question will differ depending on who you ask it to. For an individual, plastic free could be exactly what it says in the tin, eliminating all plastic from their day-to-day life. But what if you look beyond the individual? What about an entire business? Plastic is everywhere. Nearly all food and drink comes in plastic. Nearly everything replaceable comes in plastic. It's incredibly difficult to escape its influence for the individual, let alone for an entire organisation. But what if a guest house tried to do just that? Burnham-on-Sea, a quiet holiday town on the Bristol Channel, where bins being vandalised makes front page news. A town where, if you walk down the high street at night, you'll find it practically deserted. No, Burnham-on-Sea is not a bustling town by any stretch of the imagination. But behind the doors of this 12-room guest house is the start of a revolution.
Welcome to the Roundtower Guest House. I'm one of the directors here. We moved here several years ago and I wanted to be part of the local scene. So I go to town council meetings to listen to what's going on there, because you learn about the environment very quickly there. You don't want the plastic to kill the wildlife or the sea life. So we looked at what we could do here to take out single-use plastics as much as we could.
The Round Tower is trying to go plastic-free. For an individual, going plastic-free is a case of a lifestyle change, perhaps spending a little more. For a business, it's a little bit different.
There's a scheme with the town council. If you take out 3 single-use plastics, you get an award and you join their scheme, which is a step, a very tiny step, but a step. And then there's a group called Plastic Free Coastlines, and we joined up to their scheme. And it not only looks at the use of single-use plastics, it looks at what you put down your drain and what pollutants you use generally as cleaners and all those sort of things. So it has quite far-reaching effects.
The award is called the Litter Free Coast and Sea Business Award, and it consists of 3 steps: ripple, roller and crest. Each step comes with a list of requirements that the establishment must fulfill, like ensuring that certain types of waste goes to the right place, or getting involved with local, usually environmentally centric campaigns.
We had our first inspection fairly quickly after the meeting with the town council, because we were quite keen to get involved with the scheme. So the lady came out. She was new in her job. She thought it would take 18 months to qualify to the 3rd level. We talked through the little changes that she thought that I would be able to make in 3 months. Well, at the end of 2 weeks, I rang her and said, I've done that, what do you want me to do now? And she said, I haven't written a thing yet. Really? I said, yeah, really.
Next up, the Ripple Award. Everything on the list of requirements has been relatively straightforward, but one obstacle remains: cutting down on those single-use plastics. And with only a month until the next inspection, this is not going to be easy.
Right, Nick, we'll just go and look at a room in the guest house, show you all the plastic stuff that there is and explain what other things come in plastic. All the individual bedding stuff comes in a plastic bag from the laundry, and so the sheets, the pillowcases, the duvet covers, the towels come individually, and all of these things come in plastic wrapping too.
And that's just the guest rooms. The breakfast room brings about a whole host of other problems.
This is how we prepare for the breakfast room. We have a variety of spreads, so there's strawberry jam and apricot jam and marmalade, and butter, wrapped butter, and milk in little pots, plastic pots. And when we start to look at the plastic-free aspect of our business, there's several things here that we can no longer do.
Fortunately, a solution to the milk may be just down the road.
Well, I think I've just found somewhere that we can get milk in a glass bottle, and I should be so pleased not to have the plastic bottles from the supermarket anymore.
The place in question is Brent House Farm. It's a little bit of a plastic-free bastion, offering freshly grown jacket potatoes in newspaper bags, bread made on site, and a chance to meet the locals. But the main attraction for Phoebe is the farm's innovative milk vending machine. Anyone can buy a glass bottle for £1, and then for another £1, that bottle can be refilled any time with the farm's freshly made whole milk.
So, put that one up there. Then select your literage. Twice. This one, yeah, twice. Money in, that's it. And up to the nozzle. Yeah, at an angle. At an angle, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
So, that's the milk sorted. The rest of the kitchen came fairly easily. Sauces bought in jars and served in pots, butter in paper wrapping. All that's left to do is tackle the guest rooms. And considering that the Round Tower has its bedding washed by an external company, there's really only one option.
Good morning. Can I speak to Colin, please? Thank you. It's Phoebe from the Round Tower. Morning, Colin. Our linen is delivered in individual plastic bags, and I wondered if it was possible to do away with plastic altogether. No, it's not. Okay, from the hygiene point of view, it's not. I wonder, therefore, if it's possible to pack more things into the plastic. So maybe in 5s or 10s, that would be a start. You're going to have a look at it. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Speak soon. Bye. That seemed to be incredibly easy to do, and Colin is very good, and if I put suggestions to him, he usually comes up with a solution.
And they actually did it.
So we talked about how the linen came individually wrapped, and there was a pile of plastic, single-use plastic with it. Well, today this is the same size pile of plastic for the single use, i.e. 1 room, and this works for 12 rooms.
It's a huge improvement, and with the inspection deadline rapidly approaching, it's the best that the Round Tower will be able to manage. But is it enough?
We have an inspection tomorrow, and I'm just checking through to see if we've covered all the bases. I'm really uncertain about it because every time I speak to them, I think of something else when they get here. So I hope we've done enough this time.
As a soldier, I would describe it as 80% boredom with 20% mayhem, sort of constant element of fear of wherever you are. I originally joined when I was 16 years old, straight from school. As a boy, boys like toys and soldiers, don't they? Probably about 12, 13, I went to Lympstone Commando for an open day and fired a rifle. And I remember when I did that, I just sort of fell in love with sort of weapons, and I just wanted to do more. My granddad did national service, but apart from that, it's not been a commonplace thing. Mum's a mum, so she probably had her trepidations. My dad, to be fair, was, if it makes you happy, then that's what you need to do. I always wanted to serve 22 years, I always wanted to stay in for a full career. I wanted to reach the rank of RSM, Regimental Sergeant Major. I suppose the want to succeed, the sort of alpha male in you want to get to the highest rank you can, that you want to be the best that you can. So I sort of aimed for that from day one, really. I got to the regiment in January 2010, and I deployed in October of 2010. So pretty much as soon as I got there, we were told, you're going to Afghanistan straight away. It was exciting, it's what I wanted to do. I felt proud to serve my country, so there was no fear, it was just, obviously you're nervous and of what it's going to be like. But I was part of something called the Warthog Group.
The Warthog can cope with most of the terrain Helmand Province has to offer. One of the key advantages of a vehicle like the Warthog, somewhere like this, is that it's possible to create a safe area in what really is Taliban-held ground.
So we are an armoured fighting unit. We push out into the green zone and sort of enemy flats, forward line enemy troops, and try and engage the enemy, bring them out to fight us. And we were getting ready to go out on an op, so for whatever reason that day, one of the lads went sick. He was a driver, and I volunteered to drive. And I suppose that decision kind of changed my life, really. We're setting up these new OPs. We've been over this bit of ground about 4 or 5 times. It's freshly ploughed, so all the ground sign would tell you that there was no IEDs there, because if it was freshly ploughed, a farmer wouldn't touch it if there was. So we felt quite safe, to be honest. And it just so turns out that there was an IED that had been buried there for a long time, and there was a battery pack that wasn't attached. So when the Taliban saw us drive over it, they must have thought, wow, that was lucky. And they spent the day digging in from the side of an irrigation ditch to get to it. And it turns out on our last run of the day, they connected the battery pack. We hit a 45 kilo device. I went up, hit the roof, got some bleeding on the brain, bit through my tongue, bit my tongue off, lost my 2 front teeth. My arm and the bone came straight out through, so it was completely separated open fracture. And then the pedal come back and snapped my leg in half, trapped me inside the vehicle.
The Warthog can cope with most of the terrain Helmand Province.
I lost my memory for a large period of time, for about 2 weeks. Completely blank, it's really strange. I remember that morning, I remember going out on that op, I remember being really bored. And then yeah, a massive, massive bang, a crash, and then that was it, nothing. I remember waking up in the hospital in Birmingham. We was on the 3rd floor, there was a military ward. It was snowing, it was just before Christmas. I got up, I just grabbed my phone, phoned my wife and was like, come and see me today. From that point I can remember everything. And I didn't know anything about the 2 lads, I didn't know what happened to them. My nurse came in and said, oh, you're the commander of your vehicle's in the next room down. And I remember going in and just seeing that he had no legs. And I just sort of wasn't expecting it at all. Just sort of looked at him, wheeled around and turned away and just got out of the ring. I felt guilt, I felt like it was my fault because I was the driver. Why did I drive over it? And I suppose that guilt's always there. We did everything right on the day, it was just unlucky. So this photo shows our front cab just after the blast, pretty much. From looking at it, the cupola, which is where the weapon system's mounted, that's where that circle is, that's been completely blown off. So a write-off, basically. So on the right, you've got my commander, so it's Lance Corporal Hambro, who had both his legs amputated, both below knee. And on the left, you've got Lance Corporal Reeks. I initially had one leg taken off and then had another one taken off a bit further down the line. You can just sort of see my arm hanging out of the door at the front of the front cab. Pretty much a barrel worth of explosive buried into the floor. It was meant for a vehicle and it was meant to kill. Makes me feel lucky. Every time I look at them, I always feel very lucky. Lucky to be alive and yeah, to be able to tell the story, I suppose. I'm happy to have served my country, and if that's what it meant to do that, then so be it.
I'm Lance Corporal Bradley Green. I met Chris after my tour in Afghanistan. We were working in different parts of Afghanistan. We did hear the information, obviously at the time you're like, oh, it's pretty crap.
Had I known Chris before the tour, the experience would have been a bit more sort of heavy. The army's quite a twisted sort of world with the lads, so you sort of brush it off and you're like, yeah, it's good. You have your little 5 minutes to yourself and then you get back onto it, crack on with the job. That's what we're paid to do, that's what we're trained to do. Being in the army, you sort of tend to know people a little bit better. You fight with them, you fall out with them, you become best friends again, but you know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
You can tell if someone's hungry, you can tell if someone's tired, you can tell if someone wants to go to the gym, you can tell if someone's had a letter off their missus and they're happy, you can tell if they haven't had a letter and then they're pissed off.
Like, it is a brotherhood, it's a family.
I'd done 2 years of rehab after my first blast, got back to work, got back into a fighting squadron in preparation to deploy on Herrick 18 in 2013. When you get there and you take over from another unit, so you do something called a partnered op, so you go out and basically just have a little look around and do some bits and pieces. We was on our way back in and bang, hit another IED. First day, first op. This was a lot smaller. It hit the back cab, not the front cab. Injuries wise, sort of dislocated both my shoulders. The biggest injury was the mental side of it, the fact that how has this happened to me again? So I remember being scared that I'd get sent home. I can't tell the doctor what's happened. My sort of drive and ambition to be a successful soldier and have a career overtook the pain. It's really strange. I probably hit 30 and it was like my body just went, nah, I'm not doing it anymore. I was told that was it. You're not suitable for service, which is a very strange thing to hear, especially when you loved the army and that's all you ever wanted to do. I was angry, really angry at myself. Felt like I shouldn't have ever gone to see the doctor. And if I hadn't gone and seen the doctor, I probably would have been able to carry on. It still makes me angry, at myself more than anything, not anybody else. I don't blame the army. At the end of the day, I couldn't perform my job anymore. So keeping me around was not right for them. For a period of time, it felt like my life was over because that was such a massive part of my life. To lose that, it felt like I couldn't find anything else that would replace it. I still hang on to so much of my military tendencies. I was still up early in the morning, very clean, very tidy, very organised. It makes you really appreciate what's around you.
He'll always be a soldier to me. He'll always be a soldier to himself, and that's the way it sort of goes. It's still the same guy that I've known, and obviously he's just adapting his way into Civvy Street.
I feel positive for the future. That's probably quite a strange thing. I think most people when they leave the army are very fearful of the future, whereas mine currently looks pretty good.
Do you regret any of it?
No, not at all. I honestly believe, despite the pain, the operations, the distress, of not only me but my family, I'm a better person.
Hi, my name's Cressy and I have acute myeloid leukemia. It started off in around July 2017. I got a kind of heartburn feeling, lower heartburn feeling. I thought it was initially caused from alcohol, or something like that. So I didn't really go to the doctors until it got a bit worse in October 2017.
I think I first knew there was something wrong. You rang me up from Falmouth and said you'd had a really bad stomach, and I said go to A&E if it gets any worse. You went to A&E and they sent you home, and it reoccurred, and you said they hadn't taken any notice of you. And you're so far away, I suppose I didn't take much notice either. You know, you don't expect it to be anything awful, do you?
Initially, the doctors thought it's probably a small stomach ulcer or gastritis or something like that. They gave me PPIs, which is these medications to reduce my stomach acid, and sent me on my way. Gradually, the symptoms got worse. The medication would work for a little bit and then it would just come back again until February 2018, where I had my first flare up. And this was where my stomach would bloat out and I would get massive pain which would come in waves. It would be so painful, I'd be rolling on the floor, and I kept going back to the doctors and being sent away with more medication, kept going back to the hospitals. Same thing would happen, you know, because I wasn't dying, I wasn't considered an emergency.
She'd been into hospital, admitted to hospital in the summer, and she was losing weight so rapidly, she got down to about 5.5 stone, so I knew there was something really seriously wrong. Eventually,
I got an MRI scan in October. They got my MRI results, saw something was up, gave me an ultrasound and an X-ray, and then rushed me into an emergency operation the next morning. They found a lump, a 5-centimetre lump, blocking my intestines, and lots of my intestines were diseased as well, so they removed 1 metre of my bowels in a bowel resection. I was in the middle of a meeting, Cressy was going through an operation. I was rung up by the consultant that hadn't taken any notice of us and said, oh, it's probably a bit of cancer. She'll have an operation, a bit of chemo, she'll be fine. And so it was said to me like that over the phone in the middle of a meeting. So I don't know that I really took it on board. It was such a ridiculous way of telling somebody something. When I was recovering, I was there for about 2 weeks, and then I was told that I had cancer.
We were quite brave when we were told, weren't we? We went in we just took notepads and wrote notes and, right, this is what we're going to do. You were so positive and gutsy and seemed to cope with it so well. It helped me, I think.
I started chemo in November. I went into remission after my first round, so everything's going well. I'm going into my final round soon, and I'm going to finish in May. I've been a patient for quite a long time now, and then before that I was struggling with being ill. So going from being ill and being a patient to then being a person again is quite a daunting thing. So I'm really excited and I'm so glad it's gone well, and I can't wait to be done with it as well, but then also I'm really nervous. Today was technically the first day of chemo. I'm right now having my morning chemo infusion.
Oh, okay.
Dinner that I made, Chef Cressy. Me and Mum are just on a walk outside the hospital. Exciting news. I was introduced to a device called a mucus extractor. And this is a suction device which literally sucks out the bogies from your nose for tests. Right now I'm having my 3rd dose of chemo. My hair has started to get really itchy. It gets really itchy and really dry, my scalp, from the chemo. And then about 2 weeks later, my hair begins to fall out, and then there's a break, and then it falls out more. I got called in to have my PICC line taken out. It goes in here, it goes all the way up here to your heart. So it is pretty long, 39 centimetres, and 6 centimetres are external. Positive thing today, the shower was fixed. It's like a power shower now, it's amazing. And I was thinking when I was having this really nice power shower, this is probably the hardest time of my life. I hope it's the hardest time of my life. And it's not so bad. I know that sounds really silly, but it made me think that I'm having a pretty awful time, but at least I have a power shower. I would have imagined this to be absolutely awful, and it is, but I can still laugh at things and smile at things. There's always hope. Cheers. Cheers. I had a university interview in London. It was really nerve-wracking, mainly nerve-wracking because of all the germs. I was really scared about catching something, so I went armed with hand sanitizer and a mask. Hi! Having one of my pre-meds. Today was the first day that I was really reminded how difficult chemo is. Every part of your body hurts and aches and burns, and you feel pain in places you didn't even think you could feel pain. I'm ready to go home now. I'm going a bit stir crazy this time. I am on the last hour, just under, of my second last chemo infusion. It's gone really quickly, although the hardest part is yet to come. I'm currently on 0 neutrophils, so I've got no immune system, pretty much. I mean, no first line of defense for my immune system, so it's a dangerous time. I finished chemo, now it's just a waiting game, and I'm nearly done with treatment for good. I feel like I've just been through a war. I am both emotionally and physically drained. Obviously I'm relieved, I'm so relieved. You know, I've gone through this and got out the other side and I'm alive. But I think it's going to take a really long time for me to recover. I want to be this happy-go-lucky, seize every day kind of person. But then there's a part of me which is also fucking terrified. I'm terrified of having a relapse. I don't know what I would do, and it can so easily happen. That's the scary thing. And I'm not going to live my life thinking, oh my god, it could come back, because that's no way to live your life. You know, I am going to try and seize every day, but it's always in the back of my mind, that niggling little worry. So nice to be at home. The first thing I'm going to do is just recover. I want to get my strength back, and then I'm going to go to university. Those are the main plans right now. I'm just going to relax and enjoy being at home for a while. Now that I've been through something which is quite, well, it's quite serious. It's definitely taught me about how fragile life is, and about, you know, how easily it can be taken away from you. It's definitely made me think, well, you know, what do I want to do, and I'm going to do it now, so it's not going to hold me back.
I just hope that you can take this strength and confidence really into this next life you're going to have. Nothing should faze you in life now. You should try whatever you want to try, because you've had the worst challenge and you could possibly have had. Therefore, I hope you can go for all the things you want to go for, because why not? I really hope that. You deserve it.
got your stickers of yours? Shut that front door because we've got the heating on and the heating's going out the front door.
That's good. What a whole new parts for it.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Brian Smallworth. I'm head coach. I'm general manager of the Cornish Sharks, based in Cornwall, England. The team is my medicine. I suffer with post-traumatic stress. I was a doorman for 15 years and a bodyguard for 5. So I've been in some instances that come up now and again, little boxes, but sometimes the box is open. And I'm quite honest about it. Everyone knows me. And it has and is my therapy. I come out, fresh air, I'm talking to the people, I'm in control, I'm like, yeah, this is it. Everything goes away. One team, one family. It's about where we are in, you know, everyone's inclusive. We've had everything come through the door. People that, there's a lot of poverty and problems within Cornwall, and we can't see why people cannot be included into sport, because sport is really important in their lives. Sport is a fantastic therapy for many, many illnesses that people, you know, because you're depressed, you can't put a cast on it, you can't put a bandage on it. It's an internal injury that is happening within someone. And there's a lot of people out there that get depressed. A lot of top sports stars have depression, you know, and we care for them. And we do care. Well, I do. So everyone else in the organisation, you know, we've all got the same ethos. Being with the Cornish Sharks, it gives them the discipline that they need. It gives them the family they need. The back, you know, they get help.
The one thing you will always get the Sharks is the support of everyone involved. Even with the sports kind of banter that goes around, when people get in the thick of it, everyone rallies around, they'll make sure you're okay, any help you need, anything like that.
As soon as you become a Shark, you're integrated into the Shark family. All your kids, you know, your extended family are just welcomed in with open arms. Yeah, it's a great place to be.
Nice. So as you see, you've got individual drills going on with individual groups. You've got offensive linemen working with the defensive linemen because it's important. And they both play both ways. I like all my players to learn 2 positions rather than 1. That way you don't get caught with your trousers down.
Some people call me a dinosaur. Some people call me Marmite. You like me or you hate me. I listen to the players and I keep it basic because basic's right. I've worked with guys that can't read or write. And these are big guys, but they know colours. So you go, red is to your right, blue is to your left. And we just go, run right, run red, run left, run blue. And things like that. So I've kept it simple, but it's fun. And it has to be fun. That's why I've won over 500 games.
It's going to be awesome. We can only do it because of you guys, you know. And you'll see when we play how tight you become as a group.
We look after individuals from all age groups that join the organisation. We have counsellors. I have access to different people. We deal with post-traumatic stress, with depression, there's lots of problems. Sam Barnaby, who you'll meet at some stage, massive youngster. He was bullied at school because of his size, got his nose broken.
So Brian kind of took me on as a project. He was determined to help me fulfill what he saw as my potential and basically just try and help me get back to being what a normal 18-year-old would be.
Better? Better, yeah, a lot better. But you need to stay on him, clamp on him.
Brian is like a second father to me. My own father left when I was 7, and working with him especially, and some of the problems he was going through. That's why I came back. That's why I came back to the sport. Seeing what it did to him, Sharon. I could see he needed me because obviously, like I say, Bob was gone. And he lent on Bob a lot. And over the years, travelling with him, we're very close.
Bob was my closest friend. I knew him 28 years. He coached with me for 24 on all the different teams for England and Great Britain and stuff like that. Yeah, and out in the Hall of Fame out in the States. And he was my right-hand man. Hence, I've got this tattoo of Bob. I miss him a lot, you know. I keep in touch with his family. The boys are forever phoning me just to make sure that I'm okay, but just to let me know what's going on in their life. So, and I'm always there if they need me. So, yeah, it's good. That's what happens. True friends. True friends.
I could see he needed somebody to lean on. And so it kind of brought me back that he is like a second father. Anything I need, anything he needs, we'll drop everything, drop the hat, and we'll be there for each other.
Everyone's really excited because it's the first game of the season. So, you know, we've done a lot of preparation. You know, they've come on, they've, you know, the camp did us the world of good. So it's time for them to put their personal problems aside and just come and play football and enjoy it. So this is like a little brotherhood. This is us. What you're doing now here, you will never ever forget. You will never ever forget. All right? Do or die. Do or die. Do you understand? Go on.
1, 2, 3.
One team, one family!
Good kick. Set! Well done. Shoulder. Lovely. Listen. I want you guys to get more fucking physical. All right? Yeah. All of us. Offense. A bit of fucking venom in your belly. All right? Defensive raise the game. You raise the game.
For me, success at the Sharks is finding someone that is just at base level, which is they come from any background, and I follow them through to playing, becoming leaders, being successful in their own lives.
Come off. If you're struggling with a man, come off, tell us. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. It's the only way we will get better. I want you to work as a unit.
Before we focus on them panicking, we get our own house in order. The one thing that's killing us, every part of this offense is hesitation. From the running backs to the linemen to the receivers. We are all fucking hesitant.
Well then don't fucking do it.
We need to go. Get forward.
Don't fucking hesitate. Why? Well, you frightened? Oh, you fuck. You guys are some of the best players I've had down here for a long time. Fucking play. Play. You're the reason why I coach. You guys are the reasons why I coach. Right? Remember that. And when I fucking die, you'll remember those words. One team, one fucking family.
Who are we? Sharks! What do we do? Kill! Who are we? Sharks! What do we do? Kill! Right, team on three. 1, 2, 3, 3!
If I've helped one person, I've been a success. If I've helped one person.
I've heard a lot about the migrant crisis, but the media don't tend to show what's really happening. I've met a few people in my community that volunteer their time to help refugees in northern France.
In Falmouth, we've got the Falmouth and Penryn Welcome Refugee Families, and we're a charity set up through the community sponsorship scheme, and we're working really hard to raise money to be able to bring a refugee family over to live in our community.
I got in contact with a charity called Mobile Refugee Support that provide necessities such as power, Wi-Fi and mobile phones so that refugees can contact their families. They then invited me out to Calais to experience this for myself.
I'm Sarah, and I have been a volunteer here at Care for Calais for about 3 years or so. What we do know is that every human being has a right to be able to have a roof over their head, food in their stomach, safety and a future. And right now refugees, certainly in northern France, but obviously throughout the world, are not getting these basic rights. I'd like them to think about how it really would feel if it was your mum, your dad, your sister, your brother, your child. Biggest problem at the moment is we've become dehumanised the situation. We hear so much about it, we stop seeing them as individuals, we see them as a global word. Refugees, all human, we are all related, we all have family or someone that cares about us and we care about them. How can we be at home desensitising ourselves by watching it on the news and then not thinking, well actually I could actually just come for a day. No one is expecting anybody to do more than just look.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I wouldn't say interesting, that's the wrong word. I'd say more like insightful. Yeah. And it's actually quite inspiring to see the amount of people who are trying to help the crisis, and it just makes me want to get more involved. That was one of the reasons why I came, was because there was such like kind of nobody really knows like what the situation is over here, because the media is like just doesn't publicise anything. But a lot of the time the fear of the unknown can kind of stop someone from doing something, I think.
My name is Charlie. I run MRS, which is Mobile Refugee Support, and we are an organisation that operate in the north of France, and we provide humanitarian aid and support to displaced people and refugees that live in the area. Well, I worked in the refugee camp in Calais in 2016, and that was a sort of a decision that I made following series of unfortunate events, and found it really gave me a feeling of purpose. As an organisation, I think the challenges to face are sustaining it financially and physically. I mean, as with any charity, you depend on donations, you depend on the support and compassion of the public and of the people who are paying any attention to the work you're doing, whether it's with a homeless outreach program or whether it's with something overseas, like supporting refugees. It's the physical and emotional drain that volunteers go through. That becomes a very serious and demanding aspect of the work that you do. What do I gain? On a personal level, probably more than I'd ever be able to put into words. And I guess just a purpose, something I believe in. I see that in lots of volunteers that come here. We joke and say that the people who stay here are either lost or broken. And but it's a joke that has some truth that definitely resonates with some people. But I would say come and see it. Really, when you see something, it is you don't need anyone to explain it to you. And maybe that's what everyone needs to see, is to actually see it with their own eyes.
Shoulders seized up a bit, flaring up my neck, and it hurts to carry the pack after an hour, which isn't good. I need to be doing my exercises. The freedom of the movement of it and the predictability, like whatever else has gone to shit. You know, the tie's either going to be going in or going out. A little bit of a zap down my arm near the top. My name's Gail Muller and I'm hopefully hiking the Appalachian Trail this year, which is 2,200 miles through 14 states of America, from Maine down to Georgia, which is a huge deal for anyone to do, but for me to do after 15 to 20 years of chronic pain and being told that maybe I wouldn't be able to walk again, is hopefully going to be incredible and really hard though. Nip nap.
Try the other side.
So frustrating though. Never make my body work like other people.
That's okay, we can regress this anyway, so it's fine.
At its very worst, the pain was horrific. So I would say that I tried to find many ways to describe how the pain was. It was an electrifying pain, while at the same time being deep bone pain. This bit that hurts.
So let's go pull your abdominals in, but pulls me a little bit more.
Well, which what felt like bone pain.
Yeah.
Can't take that much weight on that, and that's the good side that has no pain. That's just so weird. So the description I gave to somebody recently, which is quite graphic and horrible, is to imagine that there's a body that's been in a lake and it's swollen because it's a dead body, and that it's really puffed up. It was swollen to the point of bursting the skin all the way through the right hand side of my body, but then it was as if someone was putting a constant electric shock through it too. So it would go through my face, through my fingers, down my legs, like sciatica, but full electric current down the right hand side of my body. And it hurt to move, to breathe in, couldn't have clothing touching my waistband, my shoulder.
It's not nice to see your child in distress, and when her pain was really, really bad, my main feeling was absolute and complete helplessness.
Do you want to play? Do you want to have a go?
I've got some concerns about the amount of training that Gail's put in, and I think this Wales weekend could really stir up some of my questions about whether she spent enough time training, enough time camping, and enough time preparing. And who knows whether her back and her shoulder is going to be able to sustain a weekend of full-on training, and she hasn't really put herself in that situation yet, and that's a concern for me and a worry for me. And if something does flare up in Wales and she isn't able to start the trail, I think that's going to be a really, really difficult place for her to manage mentally, and I think that could be one of the biggest challenges she's had to face yet.
So my chock-a-block lifestyle is meaning I'm not sleeping as much and I'm stressing. And when I'm not sleeping and I'm stressing, my pain levels are worse. And when my pain levels are worse, it means that I'm more likely to hold myself in certain old pain patterns, which leaves me vulnerable to extra injury. So at the very time that I'm trying to train more, my body is in a place where it's in torsion and stressed, and I really shouldn't be training, but I've got this cleft stick of I've got to do both at the time that it's the worst to do it. So I need to take some things out of my schedule, but I don't know how to. So I don't know how that's going to work out, especially squeezing this coming Wales weekend in when I'm really stressed, haven't packed for it, not prepared for it, know that I should be prepared for it, and it's irresponsible. This weekend is going to be the first time where I'm going to face all of the elements together in a perfect storm that's going to show me who I am. And to be honest, it's going to be make or break.
That we're going to go up the Nancy Ridge. The Nancy Ridge is unbelievable.
I thought the handheld ones were where it's at.
The thing is with me there, if I'm using a bug, if I'm using one of these bugs, why would you have it open?
Yeah, I struggled really hard mentally with dealing with the chronic pain, because I'm a resilient human being. I'm a really resilient person, and I'm known as being really positive. And it's really hard living a lie, because I wasn't very positive inside. I got to the point of suicide, and I thought that there wasn't going to be. I thought that I was never going to reclaim the positivity of my life. Sorry. I thought I was never going to be able to join in with people again, and I thought I would never be able to be honest with people again about who I was, and I felt very weak and useless. And I've always been productive, and it's always been very important to be productive, and I couldn't really tell my friends how bad it was, because that would change how they saw me. I wouldn't be Gail who could do stuff and was up for things. So I either had to disappear completely and not speak to many of my friends for a while, or I had to tell them and then risk being framed as a different person, a different category of person. So I found that really hard.
An Italian dish. What would they say?
Spaghetti bolognese?
Yeah. What's slang for spaghetti bolognese? Spoke well, this is spoken in moss. So you remember spoken in moss. It's got antiseptic properties. And it holds 20 times its volume of water.
You could, what? My ankles are in loads of pain every step, because these are the only boots that I had, so I thought I'd try boots. And they're old, and I never really wore boots, so every time they move, they're really hard on the sides and cheap crap boots. So they're bruising my ankles all around from every direction every time my ankle moves.
I'll tell you when we stop in a minute.
Okay.
That's it, don't worry anymore. Because if there's anybody listening, they'll be going, shit. How many whistles for an emergency?
3. The place where I have most of my pain is through my sacroiliac joint, my piriformis, and through my right side of my hips. So when it flares up, what it does is it locks itself out of joint, because it's all so lax and loose, and all the signals from my brain are so messed up from so many years of pain that any pressure going through my right leg, as in going up a step, will cause it to whomp with a massive burst of pain. And of course, if that starts to trigger, that's going to be every second step I take. So I've dealt with that a lot, but maybe with rests in between. I'm finding this really hard because the constant pushing up off my right leg, my sacroiliac joint has locked up, and it means that every time I put pressure through the right leg, it is excruciatingly painful, and I have to keep stopping, and I'm getting really mad at myself for stopping, but I can't do anything but stop. And if I release it by coming forwards, it flares up so badly, I just have to sit through it.
Non-achieving, I think, would be her greatest fear, but she will achieve.
So, well, the wind comes from generally as well.
Oh, don't interrupt. I will.
And well done. It's been really good.
Thank you. I think my weekend in Wales on reflection showed me I've got more mental resilience than I even believed I had. So I know I can manage my pain with stretching. I'm feeling much more confident about my skill set, and I finally camped by myself, which was one of the biggest hurdles that I was going to have to overcome, the fear of that. And I did it, and it was okay. So I'm finally going to take on my dream that I've had since I was 20, reading Bill Bryson's A Walk in the Woods, sitting on that train. I'm going to walk the Appalachian Trail by myself this year.
Homelessness is scary, not knowing where you stand, not being able to have a place that you know is yours. Yeah, and just the fear of the unknown and not having something stable within your life. It's scary. Statistically, I shouldn't have made it this far. Okay, well, I'm Hannah. I'm 22 and I study fine art at Falmouth University. I'm in my third and final year. Creating art is a way of escaping, being able to express yourself in a way that you wouldn't usually be able to express yourself. Okay, so the project is I'm going to be sleeping on the streets, and I'm going to be drawing, writing down like general observations, and just to seeing how that affects the frame of mind. Oh, I'm gonna take warm clothes. Yeah, just the minimum amount really, because when I was kicked out I didn't have anything with me. I had literally the minimum. I didn't get any of my stuff back from my parents for a while. Jumpers, pants, underwear. Okay, so we're just about to leave, head to Bristol, to see the reactions of people on the streets, to see whether anybody actually does anything, to see whether anybody donates anything, to see whether people stop and ask what's going on, or to see if people are going to continue to be bystanders. Yeah, but my mental state is okay. I guess it could change though. Yeah, so I have mental health issues, and I have a diagnosis of bipolar type 1, which is where you have mood swings that fluctuate from opposite ends of the extreme to So say you can be really manic, really hyperactive, really as though you're kind of on drugs, and then you can drop and then go into a really depressive episode. My childhood was, to say the least, not good. My mum was very abusive towards her children. Yeah, there's 6 of us all together, and each and every one of us got kicked out. It was months. I was just on the streets around where my college was in Warrington, so technically didn't have a home for about a year, a bit less maybe. Okay, so we're at Castle Park in Bristol. We've just arrived. Going to set up here and sit here for a bit, see the reactions of the public, to see if anybody stops and says anything. Well, my mum had kicked my my sister out, and basically I wasn't allowed to speak to her, even though me and my sister at the time were really, really close. And she found out that I had been speaking to her, and there'd been several arguments leading up to that. I was at a party, and my mum rang me up and asked me if I was speaking to my sister. I was like, no. And she was like, you're lying. And she had gone through my things and found a picture of me and my sister for some reason, and then was like, yeah, don't come back, your stuff will be out of the house. So I've been sat here for about an hour just drawing. I had one person mumble and say something which I didn't really understand what he said. But other than that, people have just looked and not really done anything or said anything. Kind of the reaction that I thought would happen, it just makes me think of other people who are actually homeless and who actually need maybe somebody to talk to, and nobody's stopping and saying anything. Yeah, it's sad. Right. So I've just come back from the Bear Pit, where there's a community of homeless people. So how long have you been homeless?
On and off for about 9 years now.
There was a few people who were uncomfortable with being filmed, probably due to the fact that they were homeless and they didn't want their lifestyle being filmed. And then somebody came over and kicked the tripod and like whacked the camera away, which was quite shocking, but at the same time it's understandable. You know, people don't want their lifestyle to be filmed and their struggle to be filmed, so that was quite sad. However, the reactions of the people that we were interviewing were really helpful. One of them actually got really angry and was upset at the fact that they were doing that. So we spent all day out here. It's sad to know that people don't really care, and I guess everybody's in their own little bubble, worrying about their own troubles rather than actually thinking about other people and their situation and what they're dealing with. I guess I'm scared about my future, and worried about what's going to happen to me after uni and where I'm going to go and what my life's going to turn out like. That's been on my mind quite a lot today. Okay, so we've come out of the city centre. Now we're going to go find somewhere else to lie down for the night. So we've had a look on Google Maps, and we found a park nearby that we thought we could check out. So we've just arrived at the park, kind of away from everybody. It's quite secluded. And yeah, hopefully we won't be bothered by people, and hopefully it'll be safe. So it's now 8:20. This is going to be home for the next 12 hours. We checked the weather forecast as well before we came. It's not going to rain, so that's lucky. So it's 11 o'clock and the cold is getting quite unbearable as it is. It's getting pretty difficult. So it's about midnight. I'm planning on getting the sleeping bags out. It's really, really fucking cold. Much worse than it was before. My toes are numb.
How are you feeling?
Cold. Really cold. I think it's nearly 6 o'clock. I can hear the birds. So it's now 7:30. The sun is fully coming out. Yeah, I'm really glad that I took the opportunity to do this. The fact that people are living their lives like this every single day is very eye-opening. It makes you think about how lucky that I am to have a roof over my head, to make sure that I don't take shit for granted. I'm hoping that it will just make me realise how lucky I am to be where I am now.
What do you feel like you want for your future?
Happiness. That is what I want, to be happy and not to feel as though it's just a fleeting moment.